TV live. Good morning from Manchester, everybody. I'm Adam. Welcome along to this morning's live update show where I'm going to be talking about the Victor Gyokeres situation and fallout between Sporting and the player that could affect the transfer or could indeed push Victor Gyokeres towards Manchester United. All the details of what went down last night and what Victor Gyokeres did on social media, the information behind everything. I want to talk about what Andy Mitten said also about Victor Gyokeres. We have an update on Bryan Mbeumo. We also have updates on outgoings in Alejandro Garnacho and Rasmus Højlund this morning as well, and possible destinations for their transfers out of Manchester United. This, along with all of your live chat and all of your input into this morning's show, everybody. Please do pile in to that live comment section and give me your thoughts on all of these topics and stories. We try to cover everything in detail, and I mean everything in detail. So, first of all, I want to get into the Victor Gyokeres situation and what's happening there. Because if you'd have seen last night on social media, there was a bit of a hurrah around Victor Gyokeres. What he did on social media, basically, Victor Gyokeres has deleted any correspondence or any linking him to Sporting over in Portugal, his parent club. The ones that are paying his wages, yeah. He's cancelled them off his social media. It's kind of a here or nothing thing. I don't really care for any crap like that anyway. But what was... and the reasoning behind it. That's what the talk is. That's what the conversation is right now from everybody in the world of football. And anyone who's watching Manchester United and following the transfer situation at the moment. By the way, it is deadline day today for the first part of the transfer window. Of course, there isn't any drama or added excitement to this day. I don't think we need to be making much of it because the window opens again in another 6 days' time. But today, the 10th of June, is the registration date for the Club World Cup side. So, we're definitely not going to see Victor Gyokeres playing in the Club World Cup. We're definitely not going to see Victor Gyokeres moving anywhere very, very soon by the sounds of this. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean there seems to be a bit of uncertainty around Victor Gyokeres' situation at the moment and what's actually happening. And this came about from that situation last night where Victor Gyokeres reportedly has been left fuming in finding out the asking price that his parent club Sporting have been asking for to many suitors that have come in for him this summer. So, I'll read out what Marco Alcaraz has said on this situation and where we're at, because he has been the one that's been closest to this. A few other people have said exactly the same thing, but just because I've got that in front of me, I'll read this one out, which pretty much breaks it all down in detail, which is reports that Victor Gyokeres is furious with Sporting over their valuation of him, as the club is now demanding €80 million for his transfer. Previously, they had agreed to set a price at €60 million with additional add-ons of €10 million, and that is set for this summer for that list of players. That list of teams that Victor Gyokeres can move to, like we spoke about. So, if you wasn't watching yesterday, just to clarify where we're at with the current contract situation with Victor Gyokeres, he does have that that buyout clause, which is up towards 80 million with Sporting. But the problem he's got here is there is an agreement that we spoke about yesterday regarding his agent and what they have just told Manchester United and how much Victor Gyokeres can go for. If a certain number of clubs came into him on a list that included Manchester United, Arsenal, Chelsea, and I think a few other big European clubs as well, they could come in and take him away for 55 million, approximately 55 to 60 million. The problem with this is it's been reported, and I've heard this as well, like that is an agreement there, and you'd expect Sporting to honour it, but it is only down to a gentleman's agreement. And gentlemen's agreements count for shit, basically. Sorry for swearing in the morning. But that's the severity of the situation with it. Sporting have decided all of a sudden to play hardball, and Victor Gyokeres has got angry and frustrated and spat his dummy out about it. And this is where the deleting of social media links to Sporting has come from, apparently. Look, I've not even looked at his social media account. I don't care for that. I don't care for the minor details and players having spats and falling out and getting angry about certain situations with clubs. It happens day to day all of the time. So really don't give a toss about that. But the situation is serious because of Sporting illegally being able to do what they want with the contract situation. Now, nobody knows whether Victor Gyokeres is these clause after 2 years in this contract that I've spoken about quite a lot is binding, or if it is actually real. To be completely frank, is it actually real? Because this has just been what's reported constantly, that Victor Gyokeres does have a number of clubs that he can leave for this summer after 2 years into his current contract that are able to buy him for a cheaper price. And Sporting, according to the reports, will not stand in Gyokeres' way in moving on from there. He's given them everything for 2 years, and he's done well. Let's be honest, he's done very well, hasn't he? But it's now started to get to a point where is this, and reports coming out about this, whether it is real or not. Victor Gyokeres clearly thinks that it is real, and he was under the assumption that this is actually a deal that can happen and will happen this summer. But he has found out, apparently, that Sporting are actually trying to charge 80 million euros. So if you break that down and what that's actually worth right now, 80 million works out approximately, it's not horrendous money, don't get me wrong, but it works out at 67 million pounds. That's with add-ons. So when you look at it, the breakdown of it, and and without Victor Gyokeres knowing, this is why there's been a fallout. Sporting have been asking any suitors coming in for him the price of 80 million euros. That's with add-ons. So what was previously negotiated was 60 million with add-ons. So if you break down the 60 million euro side of things, which let's just do that now. So 60 million euros. When you look at that, that's 50 million. That's 50 million quid. So that's your base rate. This deal then turns into a very similar one to what Manchester United are negotiating now for Bryan Mbeumo. So Victor Gyokeres thinks that his price and what other clubs are being told is 50 million with 10 million in add-ons, but that takes it to approximately 55, 56 million with add-ons. That's what Victor Gyokeres and his agents are thinking. Sporting are asking other clubs. It's completely different. The total package in what they're asking is another 12 million pretty much on top of that. And they're thinking they're going to be getting 67 million euros for him with add-ons. That's the detail of where it's at the moment and why there's this so-called fallout right now with Gyokeres and Sporting. But I'm just thinking here, like, I'm looking at the numbers and I'm going, 50 million seems very cheap, and you're getting this deal done very quickly. Victor Gyokeres for 67 million. That is a little bit different. Obviously, with that is the add-ons as well. So even if you break it down, you're still only going to be paying 50 odd million up front for Victor Gyokeres. And then if he hits certain achievements within his own time at Manchester United or whatever club it is he's going to, then them add-ons are going to creep in and start to be or need to be paid. So you're still getting a pretty good deal either way here, but you can see why Victor Gyokeres is wondering why he's not moved anywhere. Or if he's thinking that somebody's coming in with 50 million for him, why has nobody come in? Then it's because Sporting have been telling other clubs and potential buyers that his asking price is actually the full asking price. Now, this could be looked at another way as well. So this could be the fact that Sporting haven't received any offers yet, and Victor Gyokeres and his agents could have got this completely wrong here, and there is only a few teams that have actually been given the opportunity to get this price, like we've said. So that list of a few teams that can come in after 2 years and buy him for 50 million plus add-ons, none of them might have actually come in and approached Sporting yet. So they might not know. All they're finding out at the moment is that Sporting are asking any suitors coming in for him for that 67 million quid or 80 million euros. And maybe he's thinking that this is the clubs like Manchester United and so. And maybe this is yesterday what we heard about the agent telling Manchester United, no, this is the price, which is the cheaper price, which them few clubs can bid for him for in this summer. Maybe United have only just found out about this. And this news about Gyokeres being upset was from the other day. But then again, he did delete his social media links to Sporting last night. by all accounts. And again, I don't really care about that, but I'm just looking at the detail and what's actually happening here. So when you break down this transfer for Gyokeres, you look at it and you look at the numbers, it's still a good deal, but Victor was thinking possibly that this was an easy deal rather than a sensible deal. He was thinking he was going away to a bigger club for about 50 million quid. And then he could achieve the add-ons himself and the club could get the money after that. But it is completely different. At the moment, it looks like the difference is approximately 12 million from what Gyokeres thought he was going for and what the club was going for. Now, you could say that's not a lot of money in football terms, and this has all been completely blown out. But what this does do for me is I'm looking at this and I'm looking at the top end of this. And this is why I've said in the title, this pushes Gyokeres closer to United. I still feel United will try and get that deal what they can get. But the message from Manchester United and what's been reported from the club is that Ruben Amorim is pushing Ineos to go for the targets of quality rather than looking at the cheaper options. Let's be honest, if United can go out and buy the likes of Mbeumo and Cunha, we can go out and buy Victor Gyokeres with the right players being sold, which is what I'm going to talk about after this section in this show regarding Manchester United players leaving. But it isn't a deal either way that takes United out of it. All it's doing is confirming that Victor Gyokeres is leaving Sporting this summer, and this is just a nail in the coffin, and he's done with Sporting. He's done, he's dead to them by the sounds of it anyway. I don't think there's any chance that he goes back there. So now it's a case of just, right, like, okay, going in, let's use this to our advantage possibly and try and make a deal happen. Even if you have to meet somewhere in the middle with this is still a very, very reasonable deal for Manchester United to make for an out-and-out goal scorer like Victor Gyokeres. So you can see the full-on complications with everything and what's happening there and why there might have been a bit of a fallout here. But just to break it down again, just if you have just joined us quickly, I've just done the sums on why Gyokeres, even at this higher price, is still a good deal for Manchester United. But the reasoning for the fallout is that Victor Gyokeres is furious with Sporting over their valuation of him, as the club are now demanding €80 million for his transfer. Previously, they had agreed to set the price at 60 million with an additional 10 million in add-ons. So that would come in at a difference of 55 million and 67 million in pounds and sterling, basically, if you do the conversion. So Gyokeres thought that the club was selling him for 55. The club, in fact, have been telling anyone coming in for him that it's going to cost them 67 with add-ons in total. So, yeah. That's where the fallout is on that one. But I'm going to come into the live comment section on this first of all, just to see where you're all at with it and what you think of the situation. Does it push him closer to United? Does it make it more complicated for Manchester United? Where are you at with it, everybody? Get into the comment section and talk to me. Is this a deal that you still feel confident is going to happen? First of all, I'd just like to thank Ant for renewing his membership. Again, welcome back to the Members Club, my friend. Manny in with a super chat says, we now have our 10s. Look at the 30 million striker. That's a workhorse, and United's money going to a keeper and another 8. The thing is, though, there isn't many strikers that are worth 30 million. You cannot find a striker that you're going to be able to buy for 30 million. At the moment, Victor Gyokeres is actually the cheapest striker that Manchester United are actively looking at. And that, I think, is the significance of this news. Because you look at Ekitike, upwards of 80 million. You look at Osimhen, that one's gone. We've lost the lap, obviously. Mateta is going to be something similar to what Victor Gyokeres is right now. And then you're splitting hairs as to who's the better striker. For me, Gyokeres is still a better striker than Mateta. I don't mind Mateta, I really don't. I just think Gyokeres is what Amorim wants, and that's where we should go. So if you had the choice between, if it was a couple of million, a million here or there for Victor Gyokeres or for Philippe Mateta, which way would you go? I mean, get into the comment section on that as well. Grace just renewed his membership for 16 months. Yoka is a coming deal with it, doubters. I'm confident still that this will happen. I feel like this is pushing him towards Manchester United. I think United can take advantage of a situation here. All we do know for definite from this is that Gyokeres will not be playing for Sporting next season. That, I think, is the crucial part in all of this. Let's get a couple more comments in on this. as well. Daylight robbery, outright Gyokeres and Tani out of highlights. Pedigree from the Sporting Lisbon management. Survey. Sporting know Manchester United are desperate for a striker, and they will try by all means to force United to pay 80 million. I feel like somewhere around 60 million is going to get this deal done. Somewhere in the middle, I think. I don't know if that's the play from Sporting. I don't know if that's where they're going with it, but I think that's where Manchester United's stance is right now. They still haven't approached Sporting yet, by the way. They're just finding out the conditions of the deal. And maybe now with the communication between Ruben and Amorim, with Ruben and Gyokeres happening, United have moved to the next stages, like we reported yesterday, about club-to-club contacts now about Victor Gyokeres. They have now been told that Gyokeres is what we're hearing now, probably 80 million euros. That's then been relayed back to the agents of Victor Gyokeres, and maybe this is where the fallout is. I can see it all being United related right now in this, that United have found out that Gyokeres is okay to come. United have also then found out by speaking to Sporting that his price is this in their eyes. Well, the agent and Gyokeres were thinking, no, it's this is what we agreed. But now we're all coming together and trying to fix this. So let's see what the next round of talks brings. But again, it sounds like a bit of a saga bubbling here for Manchester United. This, when you're going out for the best striker out there right now in Europe, or one of the best, it was never going to be easier, and it was always going to have its complications. I think this does become easier if Manchester United do start to get a little bit more money in the bank and start putting some bids down on the table. But I feel like that's probably going to happen once we get Bryan Mbeumo confirmed as well. I'll touch on him in a moment, but a few more comments on this one. Victor Gyokeres has been left furious. Oh, someone just absolutely quoted what I just quoted there. Try to keep up, everybody. Let's just see now what else we've got in here. Let's Sporting sweat. Don't budge and offer what was agreed, and wait and see if they accept. If they refuse, let's see if Gyokeres goes on strike. I mean, you've always got that point in this where Gyokeres could start really kicking up a proper stink. And start being awkward. We've seen this before. We've seen players in transfer windows just completely go on strike and refuse to do anything with the club until the move is actually made. He could start making it awkward, and I don't think Sporting want that to happen. I don't think United or anybody would ever want that to happen, but still, there is a chance that this could now actually start bubbling up a little bit to them stages, like we've seen before in many a transfer window, to be honest. Quickly again, Andreas, welcome to the members club, my man. Absolutely love that. Thank you for joining the FUTV army, mate. Ross with a super chat says we used the seven clubs interested in Ghana to get a deal close to £60 million, and that is your Gyokeres money. Also hoping Sancho links to Saudi are true, would solve a major headache. We've said before, I think Manchester United are just gathering what money they can at the moment. The importance of Bryan Mbeumo and Matheus Cunha, they were the top of the list. Manchester United were looking at them players first and foremost. And that takes me into what Andy Mitten said yesterday on TalkSport. Now, Andy Mitten is one of the most connected men in football, so don't take anything that he says as a negative or him not being in the know. He does know an awful lot, Andy. And he's, like I said, well connected with Manchester United. So his response to being asked a question on TalkSport about whether or not Victor Gyokeres is a realistic link for Manchester United was he doesn't know anything through what he's spoken to or who he's spoken to from the club. He said he's spoken to senior members at Manchester United, senior people at United, and there was no mention of Victor Gyokeres' name. He was there a week ago. Now, we all know within that last week things have changed. And Andy Mitten did say, look, transfer windows can change and situations can change. That's not saying, in his words, that Gyokeres isn't happening. It's just he didn't hear about Victor Gyokeres when he spoke to people at United. But then again, a week ago, we did just hear about Liam Delap deciding to go to Chelsea. Exactly a week ago, near enough, pretty much, isn't it? So, realistically, what we're looking at now is, what Andy said is Gyokeres probably wasn't on the agenda, but since that week, Manchester United have actually moved forward, and like the people like Romano, you can't ignore. I've definitely more in the know, I would say, with certain transfers happening at Manchester United. Not to say that Andy doesn't, because Andy does know a lot at the club. But what Andy did say, what was important, was that Manchester United are concentrating on the number 10s at the moment. And that, I think, is just as important right now. Manchester United, I feel, have got time to deal with Victor Gyokeres. I don't think they're in any mad panic about it. Look, we've got everything that needs to be done anyway in terms of selling players. So the situation and where we're at right now with him is still the same. We haven't lost him. United are definitely in for him, and we just have to make things happen within the club for selling players to raise funds, and then we can start really negotiating. But while we're selling players, we can probably negotiate with Gyokeres. But like what Andy Mitson said, the most important thing for United right now is securing the 2 number 10s, which have been Ruben Amorim's top targets and priorities by all accounts. And that's obviously, as we know, Matheus Cunha and Bryan Mbeumo. Now, obviously, with today being deadline, we would have thought that there might be an update today. And I'll be all over it if it happens. I think we will get some form of Bryan Mbeumo update today. We've just had the here we go for Thomas Frank moving to Spurs. Interestingly enough, several journalists yesterday came out, Mike Keegan being one of them, saying that there is definitely nothing in the reports that Bryan Mbeumo is going to be a target for Spurs. He's going United, and you don't need to worry about anything. Like we said yesterday, calm with all of the reports and the so-called negative reports around Bryan Mbeumo's potential move to United. There is nothing serious to worry about at all. It's just Manchester United going through the motions a bit by bit in dealing with the Mbeumo transfer. And we are in a comfortable position with that, and we will get updates and confirmations. Look, when the transfer window shuts this evening, or whenever it shuts today, I don't even know what time it is because I'm not really paying much attention to it. It's not going to stop. It's not going to stop people getting negotiations and situations sorted. Like for instance, it opens again next Monday, so we're not worrying about getting something done today and confirmed and it all changing. Everything can get done pre-contractually anyway within a transfer window period. So no drama, no stress. Don't worry about it. Everything is under control for Manchester United. So don't stress or worry about it. Even if we don't get a Bryan Mbeumo, here we go today, it's not that important for Manchester United. Obviously, there was confidence that the deal was going to happen and move quickly, but Brentford, like reports have said, and like we've talked about here on FUTV, they've tried to get that little bit more out of Manchester United, as you would. Bryan Mbeumo's committed to United, and Brentford are just trying to steal that extra little bit of value out of him. And United are not being taken for a ride, and they will be coming together. The fees will be announced. The fact that the second bid hasn't officially been put out there yet tells you that they're negotiating the details of that second bid. I've said that before as well. So no drama, no stress. It is what it is. It's just what transfers do. Look at what happened. I used the example yesterday of Ryan Shirky 3 weeks ago, near enough agreeing to move to Manchester City, and now only just yesterday did we get the proper here we go. That's where these deals are at. Let's not forget, Bryan Mbeumo is a week in from that Ornstein bomb when he dropped it. That bomber, when he dropped it about him wanting Manchester United, it's a week. So, no stress, no drama. It has moved quite quickly from that moment. And if you told me that every single Man United transfer was going to take 2 weeks to finish, I'd snatch your hand off. And so, yeah, if it is after the transfer window happens, and I know I said I expected it at weekend, I just thought I did, but then again, Brentford have come back in and they've done what they've done. As small clubs, you'd expect them to do. They want as much money as they possibly can. So that's where we're at with the Bryan Mbeumo situation. It is what it was yesterday. It's not a problem. Ant in the chat says, Ineos won't overpay end of... no, they'll get the best deal for United, but it'll come in the value of the player and what they're buying. If they're buying an absolute quality player, they will spend. They will spend market value and they will spend what that player is worth. Victor Gyokeres is worth 67 million of anybody's money anyway, in my opinion. I just think United will get that cheaper. I think they'll be somewhere around the 60 mark again. I think we're going to end up buying, I feel, all of our first 3 signings are all going to be pretty much the same money. They're all going to be just in that low 60 to 65 million pound mark. And that's not bad. That isn't bad when you look at the quality that you're bringing in. Yeah, if you were looking for some unproven player that we don't know about, then you're going to be talking, yeah, that's a bit too dear. We shouldn't be giving that much. We shouldn't be overpaying that. That would be a bit of a concern for all United fans. But what you're talking about here is the leading goal scorer in Europe this season. You've got two of the most consistent Premier League players in key positions in number 10 this season, and two of the most outstanding performers stat-wise in Bryan Mbeumo and Matheus Cunha. At 25, in their prime, you've got three players all coming into Manchester United's side for into the starting 11 to fix Manchester United's front line, and it's costing us 180 million. That I don't think is bad business. And if you want to get the best, and if you want to bring in players that are ready-made and can go now, then you have to pay a pretty penny, I'm afraid. And that's what we're getting right now. And I'm not saying afraid there in a negative slant at all, because I think these are good deals. I'd pay 65 for Bryan Mbeumo, for Matheus Cunha, and for Victor Gyokeres without even blinking an eye. I think that's where their market value is. And you look at the situation again. I know I keep using Ryan Shirky as an example here, but 40 million when he had a release of 19 million, it just goes to show what clubs can do to get more money out of these situations. It's not always black and white. And what you're going to find is, because it's big clubs bidding for players, you're going to know more about this day by day and build up and build up. Whereas it was a smaller club making a transfer, a lot of what we've spoken about now would have gone under the radar and not been spoken about. And all of a sudden it looks like, oh, they've made that deal really quick. That deal's actually been, how can Man United not do this? Why can we not get deals done so quickly? It's not like that. It's because it's a big club. Nobody cares about what Wolves or Brentford are buying, or for that matter, what Aston Villa or Spurs or anything like that. No one really cares what them clubs are doing. It's like, it go back to the Fabinho transfer, when all of a sudden everybody thought Fabinho was done in about 3 days when he was on United's radar, but he went to Liverpool. It wasn't the case. I think it was made clear that it took months of negotiations and work behind the scenes for Liverpool to make that deal happen. It's just the way it is with football, I'm afraid. And where we like things to move a lot quicker, it can't always be that way. And that's where we're up to. Thank you everybody who has liked the video already. We are well on our way to 500 live likes. Again, let's see how far we can get up there. Please give the video a like if you're loving the content. Get subscribing as well to Forever United TV. You can see the ticker working there in the top right hand corner. We added that in yesterday out of popular demand from a lot of the subscribers, so you can see where we're actually at. So yeah, be part of the FUTV army. We're on the road. We want to get to 90k before the season starts, and we're well on track for that. Let's get some more comments in on these stories regarding Gyokeres and Bryan Mbeumo and how long these are taking before we move on to the next story. You never told me who we replaced Garnacho with, but acted like I was an absolute clown who didn't see some breaking news. Who's on the left for us again? Yeah, I remember that comment, Space Cowboy. I said, have you seen the news? We've just signed Matheus Cunha. I'm sorry, mate. It doesn't take much explaining. You actually said to us, are we bringing back Rashford and Sancho to replace Garnacho? Matheus Cunha, mate. It's like the opening transfer of the window. We just bought him. I'm sorry. I don't want to sound like I'm having a go here, but like, you came to me with that tone, and I answered with the facts. And that's up to you if you don't like it or not, mate. I'm sorry. But yeah, you started it with the tone. 67 million for an average championship striker that scored goals in a substandard league. I could score 15 goals in the Portuguese league. Boxing doesn't like Victor Gyokeres. You're always going to find people that don't agree with transfers, and that's fair, to be honest. But what I look at here is that he's done it in the Champions League as well. This is why I would have gone for Jonathan David and didn't have a problem with that. Well, who else are you going to buy? Everybody moaned about Liam Delap. Now we're finding people moaning about Victor Gyokeres as well. Look, everyone's got opinions on what you think and what you worry about. And I think what Boxing said there is fair enough. Completely fair enough, because we don't know. He hasn't played in the Premier League. He hasn't played in the Premier League. He did well in the Championship, which is the next step up, pretty much like other strikers have done before. Naming a few, you could talk about Jamie Vardy and then making a step up to the Prem. It might work. I just look at his physicality, I look at the way he plays, I look at him under Ruben Amorim before. I just think that is what we're looking at right now. I think that's the bigger positive in this. And I think it's fair price. I do think it's fair price. Who else are we going to buy? There's nobody else, I don't think, as cheap as Victor Gyokeres right now. Sesko, 70 million. Ekitike, 80 million. I'm struggling to find another striker in all of this. You could talk about maybe Jonathan David, and that's about it, who is cheaper than Victor Gyokeres right now, who is a proven goal scorer, which is the tag that Manchester United are looking for, by the way, in a number 9. Somebody tell me who else you would bring in right now as a natural, well-known, proven goal scorer in the Premier League. It's nearly impossible to get a proven Premier League goal scorer at the right price. We just brought him, and this is the thing. Yeah, you talk about the number 9. We have just brought in 2 proven quality goal scoring number 10s in Mbeumo and Cunha. So I think we've got more goals in our team in just them 2 alone. They're proven Premier League quality. Tell me a number 9 right now in the Premier League that you can put your hat on. He's going to get you 25 goals next season for less than 60 million quid. Who is that player? Who is that player? The people are talking about Osimhen. He's 70 million, by the way. Dearer. And just as unproven in the Premier League. I'm asking the question. I'm asking it. Adam, are we borrowing more money to pay for these free signings? More debt? No. As the financials were released, Sean, the revolving credit facility that Manchester United have got, i.e. the company credit card, which the previous regime was spending a lot on, has not been touched. And the word is will not be touched. Manchester United are spending within their means in terms of what the cuts have brought, what the savings have brought, and what players are sold. There is no extra borrowing on that revolving credit facility. That was brought up when I talked about the financials the other day, actually. I should have made a bigger point about that, but it's a good question, Sean. No, we're not adding to the debt. It's not extra borrowing. This is money that Manchester United can spend within their current structure, within their current financial figures with PSR. And everything else on top is going to be player sales. Let's not forget, we worked out, I think yesterday, we've made approximately, I think it worked out with players being sold on like Odiele, like Alvaro Fernandez, the penalty for Jadon Sancho, and then the money from the tour that we've just done in Asia, approximately 25 million there so far that United have brought in. Which obviously is nowhere near enough to cover the transfers that we've got, but 25 million on top for nothing. That, I think, is, again, Manchester United showing that they're not going to go into that revolving credit facility and overspend. They're going to use the money that they've got within the football club. Mr. Dacia Zandero says, I'm sorry, great numbers in the Portuguese league, a world of difference in the hardest league in the world. I get that, mate, but again, that's another comment with nobody coming back with another option. Nobody's coming back with any different Premier League proven striker options for me right now. So you can argue the point, and I get what you're saying about Victor Gyokeres and not being proven in the Premier League. It's valid all the way. So when you look at it, what you've got here is literally no answer and no response to who else comes in, because there isn't anybody. There isn't anybody. You've got to take a chance on somebody, and what you look at here in transfers is what's the take the minimal risk. Take the risk out of a transfer. What have you got with Victor Gyokeres? When you break it down, he's played with Ruben Amorim. He's had a little bit of English experience. He's got a great goal-scoring record at the highest level in Portugal and in the Champions League. That's a lot of positives. The negative is, he's never kicked a ball in the Premier League properly. Yes. So then you move on to your next target, which is Jonathan David. It's going to cost approximately 30 million-ish with add-ons and whatnot. No proven record in the Premier League. Great goal-scoring record in the Champions League and in Ligue 1. Similar standard to what I would say Victor Gyokeres is playing in. Has never played with Ruben Amorim. And we're looking to go now with this one. So at the moment, Gyokeres is ahead. Osimhen, he's dearer. He hasn't got Premier League experience. He's playing in a league in Turkey that you would argue is worse than the Portuguese league, in my opinion, anyway. And his wages are going to be more also. And by the way, Jonathan David's wages are apparently more than what Victor Gyokeres has wanted. That's just a report and it's not a definite. Don't quote me on that. But I'm just trying to build up what I'm saying here in a defence as to why United would look at Gyokeres. The benefit of Liam Delap was he'd had a Premier League year experience and he was the cheapest overall out of all of the players. That's gone. And do you know, 1 week we're moaning about not going out and buying the best players and being cheap, and the next minute we're talking about spending money or overspending on a player that's only had a bit of championship experience and is scoring goals in Portugal. And where I understand everyone's argument and concern, there's nobody coming back with any relevant argument as to why Manchester United should not go out and get Gyokeres ahead of anybody else, because what else is there? You could argue the fact that, yeah, Jean-Philippe Mateta's there, but still, it's not, is it? It's not there. It's going to cost Buddy just as much as Victor Gyokeres. And he's had a good season this season, a good season the season before. I think really what you're looking at here is him looking closer to signing a Crystal Palace contract, and that's why we're moving away. That's why we're moving away. So, yes, that's what we're talking about. And ultimately, I just feel like there isn't anybody else out there for Manchester United to go for yet who isn't in the same sort of boat as what Victor Gyokeres is. Look, need to move on anyway regarding Rasmus Højlund, another striker that United brought in who was unproven, who cost more than Victor Gyokeres, who'd scored 9 goals in the Italian league. So at least we're not there, eh? At least we can all be happy that we're not in that situation this summer, and we're actually looking at a bit more of a proven striker than Rasmus Højlund. But Rasmus Højlund is a hot target, as we know. We've been covering this for days now. It seems to be mounting up, but Graham Bailey has come out and said that there is plenty of interest in Germany for Rasmus Højlund. This is simply because of the movement in the Bundesliga with strikers, I feel. So Florian Wirtz leaving for Liverpool. That's going to leave a lot of money available. Erik ten Hag is interested in taking Rasmus Højlund. That's another story this morning. Eric, if you're going to do anything good ever for Man United, it would be this. Please take Rasmus Højlund to Bayer Leverkusen. But their finances apparently are quite low. Don't know how, especially when you're going to end up selling a player for over 100 million. It's crazy. I don't see how that is even doable for Leverkusen. So that's the link with Leverkusen. Also, you've got Eintracht Frankfurt, apparently, who are also interested in him. You would look at Hugo Ekitike leaving Frankfurt, and that's the link there, looking to replace him. I think Rasmus would do well in the German league, to be honest. And then you've got RB Leipzig. Obviously, there is the Sesko situation and the link to Christopher Vivel. So when you put them together, you can see real actual movement in there. Manchester United do want a permanent deal. There is the link with Inter Milan and the obligation. That is still open for Manchester United, but they feel like there is more interest in Rasmus and won't commit to a loan until they know they definitely cannot get a permanent deal for Rasmus Højlund. That's where we're at with the Rasmus transfer situation at the moment. And that one's just going to keep on bubbling up and trickling along. And United happy to play the long game with Rasmus Højlund. No rush, no drama, no need to get money in straight away, because obviously in terms of PSR and what United need to do, he isn't as valuable to Manchester United as per a Garnacho or Sancho would be. Because we're not having to pay we haven't got any debt for Garnacho, and obviously we haven't got hardly anything for Jadon Sancho either. So that is seen as a lot more profit to Manchester United coming in. So Garnacho is the key in all of this when you look at it, for bringing players in to move on a striker anyway. I'll talk about him in a moment. Let's get a few more comments in. Voister says with a super chat, did Haaland have a Premier League experience before joining? I don't see anyone's point about Gyokeres here. Anything for an agenda? I get what you're saying there, mate. Yeah, Haaland is a great example to say. I know he's moving into a better side and a well-run side, and Manchester United are trying to rebuild. That's the only thing I would say is different in that situation. 60 goals in the Portuguese league isn't easy regardless, people who think Gyokeres isn't good enough. Clearly have never watched him play. That striker up front for City who wasn't a proven Premier League goal scorer either, and look at him. Again, people using that as an example. Harry Kane and Erling Haaland are the only world-class strikers right now. Everyone else is a massive gamble. Gyokeres is a fairly safe bet. It's fair from what Liam said there as well. Like, Gyokeres for his price is definitely, I feel, a less of a risk than anybody else. Like, let's just say right now, I'm going to put on 4 strikers on the table right now, and you just say, which one of these strikers would you take in the comment section? You've got Gyokeres, you've got Ekitike, you've got Jonathan David, and you've got Benjamin Sesko. Actually, I've thrown Mateta in there as well. 5 other strikers that United have been linked to this summer. Is there any of them 5 you would take ahead of Victor Gyokeres right now? Just put the name in the chat so I can see them piling up on that one. Super chat in from Andreas. Thank you, buddy. Gyokeres is a great talent. Bruno comes from Sporting. He delivered in the Champions League. Other signings will help with assist. You missing my super chat? Have I missed one? Sorry, mate. I think I did read all of them out before. Yeah, there's actually a few in there that I've missed. I do apologise, everybody. I'll go through them quickly now. Andreas, your first one. Thanks for notifying me on that one, mate. I am always nervous when it comes to Manchester United and transfers. I still have nightmares of other transfer windows. If Gyokeres doesn't come, we're watching Ineos. Honestly, if he doesn't happen, then I am all for trying to, like, figure out who Man United bring in, which is why I've just asked that question for the chat to get involved in. Chris, welcome to the Members Club, the only one. Thank you, mate. I love that. In front of Cunha and Mbeumo, that player is Jonathan David at 30 million, says Mane. Tushar has just renewed his membership as well, 5 months a member. Thank you, buddy. My cousin is in London, says United will spend 300 million. You could see United spending 300 million with player sales this summer, easily. I'm hearing Wilcox is against Gyokeres deal. Wilcox wanted Delap, but now Manchester United have to pivot and move away because there isn't a Delap deal on there. Wilcox was driving Delap's hand. Yes, that was his top pick anyway. He wasn't against it, but the sensible transfer for them was somebody who he knew, who he brought through at Manchester City, and that was a cheaper option for United as well. I probably would have given him maybe a little bit more money to go and hunt for another player this window as well. But Gyokeres now at United, and this is why they're trying to make sure that they get the Bryan Mbeumo deal all sorted at the right price and concentrate on not getting bowled over for that one as well. Literally everyone in the chat after asking that question is picking Gyokeres as a striker. I'll just give you 5 options. Watkins is too old for Manchester United and will cost more than Victor Gyokeres on that one, John. That's why they wouldn't go for him. Someone saying no to Mateta, Gyokeres. Yeah, there's lots of people going for it there. Look, I'm not saying that there aren't other strikers out there that we just don't know about. And there may be a striker out there that it could just jump onto the scene that smashes it for United right now. I mean, João Pedro at Brighton at another club might do well. But again, he's going to be just as much as Victor Gyokeres for Manchester United. He's got a bit of Premier League proven quality about him. A couple more years in the Premier League. Well, you know what I mean? It's like you're splitting hairs right now, aren't you, with these strikers in terms of what they've achieved and what experience they've got. You cannot get... I think the hardest what I'm trying to say is the hardest transfer to make is finding a Premier League striker within the Premier League. That is nigh on impossible to get for the right money. You will spend every single penny of your budget trying to find that striker. Andreas is fully on in with Victor Gyokeres, it would seem, when that super chat there. Thank you, mate. Carl says, I've just lost your message. Sorry, Carl. It's gone off my screen. There it is again. The only striker I want is Gyokeres right now, and it would be Mateta if we can't get him. Sensible. Gyokeres, for me, probably the best that we can get, but United are better. Not F this up, says Simon. We are a very demanding bunch, aren't we, us Manchester United fans? We really are. We are in a situation where we are just about to confirm 2 top number 10s, and we're still not happy. No, we're not. We need more players in. Obviously, we do. On the Garnacho front, by the way, a little bit of an update on him. Romano talking in depth about Garnacho yesterday. Garnacho now making it clear that he wants to stay in the Premier League. But the word from yesterday was that Chelsea now are full on in with Jamie Gittens of Borussia Dortmund as their other option, and maybe are moving away from Garnacho. This, whether or not it's a move to try and lower the price for Garnacho. We spoke about Arsenal's interest in Garnacho yesterday. Aston Villa also interested in Garnacho. Again, the way that it's moving around, and I don't want to say this, I don't want to upset many Manchester United fans, sounds like another little saga situation developing for Manchester United regarding Garnacho and moving him on this summer. And obviously United do need to make sales, or do they? Like we said yesterday, according to the financial people, United don't need to sell players to bring in Victor Gyokeres. So lots of different stories flying around regarding where Manchester United can and can't go in this window with the finances. Different stories about where Manchester United are at with players and trying to sell players on. It's gone a very, very quiet on Marcus Rashford's side of things as well. Could that one develop into something that comes back and surprises everybody? Look, we're all waiting for these updates, and we're all waiting for these moments to come regarding Manchester United and what's happening in this window. We may just have to be a little bit more patient with it. And that's something that we don't like being, because we want it now, don't we? And I know I'm not doing this to wind people up, but at least we can look forward to announcing Bryan Mbeumo, and then let's see how this develops with Victor Gyokeres going forward. Just to clarify the top story on the show, if you have just joined us, plenty of people are jumping in and out, and I've just come in as well. Regarding Victor Gyokeres right now, the report is that Victor Gyokeres is furious with Sporting over their valuation of him, as the club is now demanding €80 million for his transfer. Previously, they had agreed to set a price at €60 million with an additional $10 million in add-ons this summer. That right now is why there has been this so-called social media blackout from Gyokeres regarding Sporting and the fallout. This, I think, will just... I think it will get sorted eventually, but when you work out the sums, the top line anyway for what Sporting want for Victor Gyokeres is approximately 67 million with add-ons. So you're still going to be you're still going to be getting the player for about 60 million. But in Victor Gyokeres and his agent's eyes, the price for English clubs was 50 million with add-ons. And that's where the 55 million came from for Victor Gyokeres. So that is the fallout and everything that's come with that. Plenty of journalists have come out today and completely kiboshed the idea of Bryan Mbeumo moving to Spurs. That has been made clear. We said this before. It is not that Bryan Mbeumo is going to be moving to Spurs because Frank is there. It was just a story fabricated and made into something that it really wasn't. And that's where we're at with it. It is a case of Manchester United are in full control of the Bryan Mbeumo transfer. They're just going through the minor details at the moment of everything and looking into where this deal is actually at. And there is nothing to be concerned about. It is just the obvious necessaries of dealing with a transfer right now. Let's just go through some news to make sure that we're not missing out on anything. Just checking if anything has come out. Well, we've been on nothing significant update-wise while we've actually been on. Right, a few people talking about the transfer window closing today and hoping to get Bryan Mbeumo done. We don't need to get Bryan Mbeumo done today, but it would be nice just to get that one wrapped up. And I'll be glued to everything news-wise to bring you fully up to date with that one and keep you fully in the know as to what is actually going on with Mbeumo right now. But that pretty much wraps up our show today, everybody. Thank you so much for all of your input in the live chat. Please do get into the comment section when the video is finished live. pop a like on the video. We've had over 700 live likes already, which is amazing. Thank you, everybody. And make sure, most importantly, you hit that subscribe button. That way you will be kept informed of all Manchester United news going on in and around the club, on and off the pitch. I've got you covered here on Forever United TV. We just had one more super chat pop in before we finished, which was, I think Gyokeres deserves a chance. He will have a few great, we will have a few new great signings, or he will have a few great new signings too. And Bruno behind him. He knows Amorim and his system. I think that's fair, Andreas, and thank you again for that super chat, my man. And I will see you all later on, everybody. Have a fantastic day. I'll keep you informed. I cannot give you a script. There will be another video, an update coming out around about midday, usually around about 12:30 time-ish. If anything breaks in between, I'll be back earlier. If anything breaks after that, I'll be back. I can't really schedule anything at the moment because of what's going on. But we will be back at our normal time later live this evening also, around about 6 or somewhere around that mark. Unless you're all watching England and want a bit extra time to prepare for that. Oh, I wouldn't recommend it, but anyway, I'll keep you updated and posted on everything as we go along. Until then, everyone, have a fantastic day. Thank you, mods. Great job. Everyone who donated, hit that subscribe and like.